Katja, kannst du mal. Oh, muss wieder stumm.
Hallo, hallo.
Hello everybody. Today is the demo day of Reaktor Berlin. And the startups of batch 2 will present their ideas to you, to our community, to over 100 top-notch guests, to our mentors, to executive of corporates, to our business partners, and to the investors, like business angels or venture capitalists. And especially to you, all the startup talent out there. So, my name is Jesse, and I am the managing director at Reaktor Berlin. Welcome again to our demo day. Welcome to Reaktor. 14 months ago, we started the project Reaktor Berlin. We set up a team and moved to a new location, a great location here at Unicorn Co-working Spaces. So far, we supported 13 startups, and we shared our knowledge with them, we made introductions, and to be honest, so far, it worked quite well. Our achievements for the last 14 months are over 300 founders applied for our program. They want to join the startup or the Reaktor family and our program. 13 of them. 13 joined the program actually. These 13 startups raised together over 4 million, not 400, I'm sorry, 4 million in venture capital. And that's just the pre-seed rounds. Batch 2 alone raised over 1.4 million euros. And we don't even have reached the demo day. It's just today. So our experience have shown that this number will multiply after the demo day. If we calculate the second round fundings together to the first round fundings, we can add additionally 5 million euros. So altogether, so far in the last 40 months, the startups of Reaktor Berlin raised 9 million euros. And besides that, they created a lot of new jobs. 40 plus jobs were created so far by our startups. And the best thing about this is, we just have started. 2022 will be even better. The question is, how do we do this? We created a 6-month acceleration program and process where our founders acquire the necessary tools and the methods to create and to build a successful startup. Additionally, they get a scholarship, a grant, which is worth 2,000 euros a month. And if you are up to 3 founders, this sums up to 36,000 euros. Besides that, we created Entrepreneur in Residence. All these guys are former entrepreneurs, investors, and they help our startups on a weekly basis with a deep dive and challenge their ideas. Besides that, we created various workshops, peer-to-peer learning sessions, and coaching sessions, and made it to a tailor-made program. And I remember vividly when, for example, Christian Dahlen, a business angel based in Silicon Valley, entered Unicorn Co-working Space here, and we had a lunch talk together with all of our founders and talked about the differences between Silicon Valley, venture capital, and the startup ecosystem in Berlin. Or when NFT and Georgie from NFT taught us the basics about blockchain and introduced us to the world of NFTs. So, how do we do this and which team make this possible? I want to introduce you briefly and quick to the team behind this. Behind us all, there's the program manager, Laure, who's in charge of everything related to workshops, sessions, coachings, and especially in charge of the mentor program. Besides that, we have the finance manager, Joanna, who is in charge of everything which is related to the administration stuff. And everybody who has ever worked with grants know how busy this guy or girl could be. So thank you so much. Behind the scenes, there are our 3 co-founders of Reaktor Berlin, the initiators, Tobias Scharovic, Tobias Wittig, and Sascha Schubert. All of them are working as entrepreneur in residence for the startups and make their dream of a crazy and hot accelerator program come true. So, if this sounds good to you, and you have any startup in mind who could be interested in applying for this program, please spread the word. We are looking for ambitious founders, most of the time for teams, but we make exceptions there. We are looking for highly motivated people who can work full-time on their project. We are also looking for young entrepreneurs. Startups don't have to be incorporated if you apply for this program. And we even had a startup without a name, so that's true. And besides that, we have some requirements. So you have to reside in Berlin or plan to move here. You have to, you don't have to, or you're not allowed to receive another grant program like Berlin Startup Stipendium or Exist before. And besides that, we welcome you to apply until the next deadline, and it's the 9th of December. So, what are we going to see tonight? The agenda for tonight is easy. So we have 3 parts. The first part is a panel discussion where Franziska Pohlmann, from creator and host of the YouTube show Create F, will introduce you to the topic from kitchen table to exit. And we invited some top-notch speakers here, venture capitalists as well as founders, who are going to discuss with her the topic and bring different perspectives to the table. After that, there's a main topic, and unfortunately, Franziska, I would say it's the highlight, although you are all crazy good. It's the startup pitches. So we will see 7 startups pitching, and some of our alumni startups also pitching here with a brief elevator pitch. And at the end, we will close this event with a big thank you, with a quick outlook on 2022, and we will announce the super mentor of the last batch. So, Franziska, the stage is yours. The panel and roundtable discussion can begin.
Thank you so much for the invitation, Jesse. So hopefully we have a wonderful evening, and I'm absolutely with you when you say that the startup pitches are absolutely the highlight of today. I'm also happy that we are welcoming a wonderful panel round talking about from kitchen table to exit. My name is Franziska Pohlmann, and I'm at the moment, as Jesse said already, hosting the YouTube show Create F, the Female Founder Show. And one of the pitching founders tonight is also part of this show, so I'm also very excited. But now we want to introduce our 4 panelists. Welcome, Katharina Neisinger, Katja Nettesheim, Patrick Flessner, and Jakob Schreier. Before we begin, we would like to invite every one of you in the audience to ask questions if there is anything you would like to discuss with us. We have a wonderful chat person here, so we would like to get in contact with you. Please don't hesitate to contact us. So before we begin, it would be wonderful if you all, our panelists, introduce yourself with 1 sentence, and please integrate a small piece of personal insight that is not written on a social or personal business profile, so maybe we can get to know you on a different level. Welcome, Katja Nettesheim. Would you please start?
Yeah, sure. Thank you for letting me start. So I have to improvise a bit here. So my name is Katja Nettesheim. I'm the founder of Culture. Culture is a behavior change engine for leadership behavior, or to make it very short, it makes your boss better. That's what we're set out to do, making bosses better. And this might also be due to the fact that I have quite a long working experience before I started founding. So yeah, maybe the thing that's not really on any social media is that I'm 47 already, so quite an untypical founder, but worked with startup as a mentor and business angel before.
Thank you so much. Patrick, would you go on?
Sure. First of all, thanks for having me today here. And I'm quite impressed by the startups having raised already 9 million before the demo day. Congratulations to this. I'm Patrick Flessner. I'm a general partner at LeadX Capital Partners, a fund that was born inside Metro Group. So it was a corporate venture capital unit. Meanwhile, we are independent, but we have managed an early stage fund of 60 to 70 investments and a later stage growth capital fund where we've done further growth capital investments. One investment into Orderbird. Jakob Schreier is the founder, who's also here today. I've also written a growth handbook for founders called Fast Scaling, in which I share my knowledge, insights, and experiences as regards helping founders get from this initial traction to sustainable high growth. And a personal note, difficult, but yeah, I like writing not only business books, but also in general, and I'm currently writing on a novel.
Wow, I'm very excited to read on that later on. Thank you very much. Katharina, would you go on, please?
Absolutely. Hi, everyone. My name is Katharina Neisinger, and thanks so much for the invitation, first of all. I'm very honored to also be sharing this virtual stage with my fellow panelists, so very excited to be here. I will be keeping it very short. I am an analyst at First Minute Capital, a European 300 million seed fund, and off paper, I'm also an avid tango dancer.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. So last but not least, Jakob, may you please introduce yourself?
Yes, glad to be here. Hello, everyone. My name is Jakob Schreier, one of the founders of the company called Orderbird. Orderbird is now almost 11 years old. So still maybe in between a startup and a full grown-up company. Finally profitable, took us a while. Again, 11 years old, the company. Personally, I have a wife, 2 kids. Maybe the funny story, the personal story is we moved from New York to Berlin 11 years back to start the company here. Back then, my wife is Canadian. I promised her, let's do 3 years Berlin. And then I promised you we move back. Now it's 11 years. So everything always takes way longer than you expect. We're still happy here, great with the company. But no, this is 11 years back now. Glad to be here.
Wow, these are wonderful and very broad experiences on investors and startup-related insights on the topic we're talking about. I would like to start now on the first part, which is about the first startup year. So maybe, Jakob, we can start with you. How did you begin? How did you encourage yourself? And how did you get your idea? What is the beginning of a startup?
So I have to say, so pretty early on, right after school, a good friend of mine and myself, Bastian, we always wanted to do something, but funnily enough, when you sometimes trying to force something, it doesn't happen. So for us, at some point, we had to grow apart. I started my career in marketing and business development. He did something else. And then at some point, he approached me with an idea to actually develop a point of sale in the cloud, which is way more efficient. So that had many benefits to it. And I came more to that starting the company because I helped him with the first customer, with the first investors, and with the first employees. So I was more really like a helping hand on the side. We kicked things off. I was still in New York. And then at some point we said like, hey, we should do it together. I have to say we had, obviously we didn't start in one of these accelerating programs. We were first-time founders, very emotionally in terms of how you start or how you think you can start a company. To be honest, I think we were relatively naive, and I'm grateful for that. I was mid-20s. Back then, had little obligations in terms of, back then, no family yet. And the starting a company was, for me, I have to say, relatively easy because there was not so much I had to take care of. I had to just know, you can always start companies. That doesn't matter in which age, hopefully also when I'm like, 40, 50, 60, but at least with 25, I wasn't afraid of anything. I had no family in this case to take care of, where maybe you have to share weekends, maybe you have a certain burn rate to take care of. So I think it definitely helped. And the good thing is my personal mentor, Mark Schön, is now the CEO of the company. So I started the company. I was the CEO for the first 7 years. Then I think the best thing I did is got my mentor to replace me. Now we run the company together. And then at the end of the day, I think you also have to know what you can do and how you grow a business. And again, Mark always tells me, luckily, I wasn't part of that company at the early days because you guys were so naive. And I think that, being so naive at the beginning is obviously a good and a bad thing, but in this case, it really helped. And again, we did the trickle, how you start a company without any bigger investors or accelerators around you. So we really first time found us very emotionally, but again, glad to have that experience and that time at the beginning.
Thank you for your insight on that. Katja, could you maybe add on your perspective? Because I guess it was a different approach for you, how you encourage yourself to found the company.
Yeah, definitely I was not naive. I was crazy, but maybe. I think it's a mix of both, because in the last 2 years, I have been in situations that I have not foreseen, especially with the Corona thing now. So there was a certain degree of naivety also involved, or maybe just not seeing stuff coming and not preparing for this. So how we started is that I've been working in digital transformation or transformation generally of established companies for quite a while, as a professor, as an employee at Axel Springer, with my own company that had more of a consulting approach, because that was the right thing for me at the time, where I could have my 2 kids as well at the time, and being very being able to really decide on my time. So, and during that time with the consultancy, I just saw that a lot of the consulting is broken, that it doesn't leave sustainable results. And this is mainly localized at the area of middle management. And so we just didn't have, if we were honest, we didn't have the right tools to really get the middle management to transform in consulting. And so since I really wanted to, I'm very passionate about securing the future, that companies are future-proof in Germany and in Europe. So this was like my passion, to make them really future-proof. And so I couldn't stand the limited reach that we had with consulting. And so I was thinking about how we can better do it. And I got together with a couple of more people thinking about this, developing a tool, ideating it. And fortunately, I had a very good feeling for the target group, so that we got it pretty much right the first time. Of course, we did all the customer discovery as well. And so we started the company on a pretty good footing, and then we wanted to go into full-blown sales on March 9, 2020, which was not a good idea, because then March 13, everything collapsed. And so what was supposed to be our first full sales year became a bootstrapping year. So that's what we did in 2020. We just spent very little money, but still went ahead, developed our app, gained a foothold in the market, had 4 B2B clients at the end of the year, without any marketing, and just spending like 200,000, 300,000 euros. So this was a very tough time. Because of course, if you don't spend that much money, you have to do a lot of work yourself. So this is not what I had seen coming. So it was a high workload, but as of 2021, we had the proof of that our solution fits the problem in the market. And so we started hiring people, and by now we're 19 and getting into hopefully more stable waters.
Wow, that's very interesting. And I think we have two founders and two very different perspectives. Patrick, maybe you can tell us a bit from the investor's perspective, what are the most important KPIs when you're looking on a startup in the first year, in the beginning?
Yeah, so very good question. And I think if you want to start a company, you can overthink many aspects of starting the business. And there are probably 100 reasons why you shouldn't go on this endeavor. So sometimes it's probably the right approach to not think about it. At the same time, I think if I look at early stage companies, I would always look at two distinct topics. One is market and market sizing and market dynamics. And the second aspect is team. And on the first topic, the market, my experience is that, and that is actually also the case in the later stage environment, that we will be presented with slides showing 9 trillion market, 9 billion market, and then no substance or just a source where this number is coming from. And if you start on your journey and spend efforts, time, and your own energy on starting a company, I would suggest and strongly recommend you are really thorough in terms of analyzing the market. Is the market timing right? So are you before the market is actually ready for your product, or are you after the market? Let's say there is already strong competition and you are just a follower with no distinction. So market timing is right, and market sizing, really spend time working on understanding how many of your key target customers are out there, what will they pay you, and does this make sense to go out there on this journey in terms of customer acquisition cost and customer lifetime value, at least in the long run. So that would be my first advice, be really thorough about market sizing. And as regards the team, I certainly look for complementary teams, and I personally would not look for single founders. I would always look for teams, strong teams with complementary skills. And founding a company is easy. You go to the Notary Public and found a company, then you're a founder. I look for entrepreneurs who really see a pain in the market and want to solve it, and then have this entrepreneurial gene. And hopefully I also see at least one or two potential leaders in the team that can attract other highly qualified talents in order to make this happen, because it will be hard. And I've been in the female founders office hours just recently, and there was one single founder, and she was already early on pretty overwhelmed with what kind of obstacles she had to deal with. And I think one reason was that she decided to go out there on her own. So creating a complementary team is probably paramount importance. Also, if I look at teams, and it's never too late to add strong team members.
Wow, thank you so much. Katharina, maybe you can add also your perspective with your background on VC funds. How do you do your due diligence on a startup team? Are you also looking on the same perspectives?
Yeah, absolutely. I think Patrick covered the vast majority of it all. But maybe coming from the perspective of talking to founders in the first couple of calls, I think it's really important for us as investors to get a really good understanding of the product, obviously, right? But I think what founders really need to convey is, what kind of problem are you solving, right? Is your solution, is your product really timely, meaning why now? And why has no one else done this before or in the way that you're doing it as such? So I think in a conversation with the founder, you want to, with an investor, as a founder, it's really important to sell yourself. And with that, I don't mean to have a super polished pitch deck. Your pitch doesn't have to be perfect. You don't need to be a rhetorician either. But you really have to show, why are you solving this specific problem, and why are you the right person for it? And as Patrick just mentioned as well, I think there is when the team compatibility comes in as well, right? I think always, speaking generally, a really good fit is, for example, to have a technical and a business-driven person. That usually is a solid foundation for founding teams. But yeah, you really need to show why are you the right person for it. And I think another point is, obviously it's a two-way street, right? As investors, we want something from founders. As founders, you want something from investors. However, it's probably the founder who will just have to have more to speak during the first calls. So just take an investor by his or her hand and just talk about the product, talk why you are the right person for it. And in terms of traction, I think obviously cover as much traction KPIs as you can, customer acquisition cost, how that's in relation to lifetime value, what's your churn rate, what's your retention rate, have you been growing organically or not, what have been your costs until now, and in terms of due diligence that you mentioned, Franziska, I think as an investor, we really want to see that you know the market inside out, and that involves other companies as well, competition, right? Do you know what's happening in the US if you're a German founder? I think just knowing the market inside out is really crucial to also be able to just know it and convey it to an investor ad hoc. And the way we do our due diligence is really a lot with our network. I think I've just kind of like skipped a little bit on my introduction, but we have a wonderful LP base of over 120 LPs. And with that, we use a lot of this network to really do due diligence, meaning to talk about industries with industry experts from our network and to really do lots of reference calls there. Also do lots of reference calls with other founders and to just really dig into the market. But yeah, in terms of founders, really know your product, really know your market and talk why you're passionate about it and why you're the right person.
And maybe if I can add something, especially when you start and you're getting new to an industry, I mean, there's always this, obviously you know your market, but what we did that really helped us a lot is we got new into in our segment, in our industry. So in the first couple of months, you gain so much knowledge, but you're still scratching only the surface. So we went out and really strategically looked for business angels with knowledge we didn't have back at that time. So we said, like, you know what, we are a point of sale company. The strategic areas for us will be payments, will be point of sale, will be hospitality. So we really went out and said, like, can we find an angel investor who is already deeper in payments than we are? Can we maybe find a restaurant owner who would invest in our business as an angel or as an advisor? So we tried to get people on board, whether it's as angel investors or advisors, who brought us knowledge and helped us getting up to speed in certain elements of the business. Because again, when you start a business, you get new into an industry. It again also takes a little bit of time. You do all your research and you should know, you have to be confident and know what you're doing. But on the other hand, it's also good to have amazing people around you who can help you. So we went out, and I think that was a good thing, having strategic angel investors who really help us with expertise in the different areas.
I can totally underscore this. And there's another thing that we did is that we really searched our network for everyone who is an expert in L&D to really get into this particular thinking of those that are not our customers, but they are stakeholders inside the company. So, and we also took one in as a business angel to have like a customer advocate inside the company who really is from that industry and is like the ones who decide on whether they purchase us or not.
Okay, yeah, thank you on the different perspectives. Maybe you can talk a bit about this. We had a pre-talk about the topic. How do you find out what's the perfect fit? Like, what's a good investor for you, or what is a good founder? How do you know that this is a perfect match?
Maybe I can pick this one because it's a good question because it relates to what we've just heard. I think there's a due diligence to be done in both directions. You need to do a due diligence also on your investors. And Jakob rightfully said that you should look for business angels who understand what you're doing. But this is the case whenever you talk to investors as well. So for example, I'm now investing only late stage. It doesn't really make sense if you're pre-revenue to approach me in order to figure out whether I can invest in your company. So I think it's really about nailing it, meaning you need to find investors who are active in your industry, who invest in your geography and in the right stage. So if you're an early stage company, you should talk to early stage investors. I'm not saying that it's wrong to create a network already early on. So it makes sense also from my perspective to talk to founders when they are actually not ready for investments from our fund. But there's, I think, a threshold. And as you have a conversion rate from lead to customer, you have the same conversion rate when you look at investors that can invest in your company. And I think my advice would there be to really focus on investors that could invest in your company, and only talk to them, at least if you are in financing need, because the conversion likelihood is just bigger.
Thank you, Patrick. I think
If I may add.
Yeah, please.
No, I just want to give a little bit of perspective. I mean, sure, there's always two scenarios. The one is, ideally, you have enough, let's say, I'm a founder of a new idea, I'm raising money, in best case, I have enough interest. So I can choose. And then obviously I can go more in the direction of what is the best investor. The reality, on the other hand, is also in many cases, unfortunately, that you don't have the options. That you say, like, what, I'm raising money. I have one option now. I have to take what I get. On the other hand, I also know, and I think we probably, as always, as a founder, you're bullish and you're hungry, and you sometimes get blinded by valuations. That you say, like, what, you're aiming automatically for the highest valuation, and then sure, you want to have your storyline, then hopefully 10 years back, looking down, the valuation always goes up. But sometimes aiming for the highest valuation can be counterproductive and has certain elements, where I wish probably retrospect, I would have rather said, like, let me spend more time with the different investors and not always trying to go out for the highest valuation. Valuation is definitely one aspect, which is important and part of the game. But I think sometimes founders or early teams get blinded by that, and again, you always have to, reality is that not in all cases you do have options where they say, like, I'm picking between 3 or 4 fantastic VCs. Sometimes it's like, wow, I have one in front of me, I really want to get going. I can now try to delay my process and wait and hope for a better one or for something better in 2 or 3 months, or I just try to make the best out of it now. So in an ideal scenario, of course you choose, but the reality sometimes is different. Just an honest perspective.
And one proxy that I found through working with the startups as a mentor before, which held true now through my funding rounds, is the best investors were in the longer run were the ones where the initial talks were more like an expert conversation. Yeah, so where you really got deep into how does your product work? What are you planning to achieve? Have you thought of this and that? And not what's your ARR? What's your monthly growth rate? So of course there needs to be a certain basic due diligence, but the sooner we got into this really expert conversation on eye level, the better the investor proved to be in the long run.
And maybe add on this, there's Mark Suster, a famous investor in the States, who said there is no divorce clause in investment agreements. And that is so true, because if you're early stage investor, you might have to work 6 or 7 years with this investor, not only shareholder meetings, maybe also on the board of directors. And I fully agree, you need to have someone you feel comfortable with from a personal perspective, but also from a business perspective, someone who can help you, who you can talk to in order, if you approach obstacles, meet someone in the network. So I think it's really, really, really important that there is a personal fit also with the investor. And as Jakob rightfully said, it's not only about valuation. Even very high valuations can backfire in the long run, because they might make it more difficult to get to successful follow-on rounds. So I think there is evaluations indeed one aspect. For me, the personal fit would be even more important if I were a founder.
Yeah, thank you for that insight. And maybe you can also tell us about the perspective on exit. Should I start as a founder also with the perspective on my exit later on, or when do I think about it? Patrick.
Yeah, good question. I mean, exit is very important, first of all, because if you have to decide whether you want to build a business without raising venture capital, and there are good examples where you can build astonishing, fantastic businesses without having to raise venture capital. And then you don't need to exit. But as soon as you decide to take the venture capital route, you will have investors who also have a certain timeline for their investments. They have a fund lifetime of 10 to 12 years. And if they invest in you, they will have to sell their stake in the company. So if you want to go the venture capital route, you will have to think about exit. And maybe, early on, it's probably not the most important aspect. It's more about solving a business problem, a market pain, and building a business. But the investors will definitely look at your company, at your team also from a potential exit perspective. Is there someone who could buy your company in the long run? I wouldn't think about IPO. IPO is something that might happen, but the likelihood is so low. I wouldn't spend a second thinking about IPOing, at least in the early stage of your companies. It's all about strategic acquirers that might be interested in your products in the long run, and all other exit routes may come into play, like selling to private equity players. But I think exit is also important from the perspective that you need to build large companies if you want to attract venture capital, because if investors invest, they need to make multiples on their money invested. So you need to grow, and that is only possible in really large markets. And if you can build a company in a large market, the exit likelihood is also higher. So thinking about exit, short answer to this question, thinking about exit is important, but I think in the early stages, not the most important aspect.
Thank you.
Yeah. Sorry, just chip in here. I totally agree. I think if you're raising, you obviously can't ignore exiting. However, as investors, I think if we get the sense that someone is just in it in order to exit, we tend to be a bit cautious, because you shouldn't be driven by simply the forecasting of exiting, but rather really by your product and what you're building with your team, maybe as a solo founder as well, but really to be driven by the product and not by the prospect of exiting.
There is the saying, chase the vision, not the money. And I think that is what you mean. And I also have the same goal. I want to identify founders who are in there for a good reason, not for the money only.
Yeah. Jakob, you have the experience with thinking about an exit in your startup. Maybe you can tell us a bit more about how do you know what is my phase in this startup? How long do I stay, and when does it feel good to maybe leave or think about it?
Well, first of all, I do agree that thinking about an exit in the early years just feels wrong. You start the company or you start a business because you're passionate about something. On the other hand, I'm probably not really a money-driven person, but on the other hand, I think it's part of the game. The same way investors invest in businesses to make money, the same way people also start businesses to fulfill a certain personal development lifestyle and so on. So I feel like you also cannot be too romantic. Again, I fully agree. It feels wrong, and it's not the reason why you start a business, and it definitely feels wrong to think about that. But then at some point, being honest about that and being not too romantic is also important. You take someone else's money, so and you know what you're getting into. If someone has a 5 or 7 years holding period, then in 5 years this fund or person wants his money back. So I rather have that planned into my strategy or my thinking on how I manage and grow the company. And then luckily, obviously, if you achieve the first couple of steps where I think you don't have to focus and should not focus on any kind of exit in the early years, all your passion or all your energy needs to get this off the ground. And once the company is running, and I think you have achieved a few years in and you're getting to holding periods, then I think it's the right time to think about like, hey, how do I manage maybe exit? And exit does not have to, as Patrick mentioned, the entire company, could also mention or be for individuals, whether it's founders who are not operative in the company anymore, whether it's early angel or seed investors, or maybe at some point even late stage investors. And for us, we're now 11 years old, so we have lived through all the different stages. And now just recently, for example, exited the former founders. So I'm the only one still in the company. I didn't sell my shares, or only a small amount, but everyone who's not operative in the company were allowed to exit. And I think that was healthy and good after 10, 11 years, because the company right now, we believe we can still grow it, or like, grow further and rather have a fantastic story. So exiting the company right now would feel maybe too early. So sometimes it's good to let then people exit or smaller investors exit, while the majority still wants to stay independent and in. So long way of saying, I think at the early on, you should ignore the topic. And then after a few years, when the company is really, you feel like it's working out, then you need to strategically at least consider about timelines, certain aspects. And I think luckily now there's different options of exiting people, private equity, as we heard, and different options. So again, if the company works, then you will have options anyways.
Okay. We have 30 minutes of talking now. Is there any question from the audience so far? Not? Okay, perfect. So we just go on. Thank you very much. As we were talking about it, maybe we can also get a bit deeper on the different skill sets we need in different phases of the startup. Katja, maybe you can tell us something about this. No. Okay, maybe someone else wants to talk about this.
No, I think the moderator and myself, who were both clicking at the same time. Or the regie. I saw many companies in later stages, and now I'm living through an early stage. So that's why the point that where I'm coming from. And I needed to change my own skill set, I think, quite a bit in order to become an early stage founder. So the degree of hustling, the degree of not being perfect or not doing something really, really good, but just pushing something out, that's a skill you have to have as an early founder. The degree of a certain degree, of course, of risk taking and doing very much with very little. That's definitely, I think, the most important skill in the beginning. And if you don't have it, you have to learn it before you start. Coming from a corporate background where you're like being applauded for perfectionism doesn't work. Later on, then, of course, this gets more important, because you cannot bank on we're just an early startup bonus anymore. So everything has to be like really premium or really good especially if you're in the B2B high premium sales market like we are. So that's why I needed to unlearn quite a bit, and I hope that I didn't unlearn it totally and can gain it back then when needs arise.
And do you think you're rather a serial entrepreneur, so you would like to get into that phase again, or what do you think? What kind of a founder are you?
Me?
Yes.
Somehow I'm already a serial entrepreneur because I had two founding things before, but I want to do this one right. And like going back to what I said before, I'm in a different life phase than Jakob was when he founded. So I want this to be my last job. And now, depending on how big it grows, and how high I can sell it, then it depends on when I can retire, more or less.
Okay, Katharina, could you tell us, do you have better experiences with serial entrepreneurs, or doesn't it matter?
I think that's a really good question. But the short answer is probably it doesn't matter. I think if there's a serial entrepreneur, you have a certain advantage in terms of like an initial advantage that you might have a sort of quality stamp almost, right? So if you're a founder that has successfully founded previously, it does, convey a certain message. Hey, okay, this person knows how to found a business and knows how to scale it successfully. However, founding is always a risky business. So this is really just an indication. And I think first-time founders are usually, hopefully, super passionate about their business. And a lot obviously comes from passion. So I think, you have expertise on one hand in terms of experience, and then you have expertise in terms of passion. And I think these are two different things, but that are not mutually exclusive. And I think, a serial entrepreneur can really have the advantage of just knowing how to found a business and then adding that sort of passion layer on top of that, which is the perfect combination. However, if you're a first-time founder and you have the passion and you are willing to learn anything that you lack, you can do, just as good. So there's no right or wrong answer to this.
Okay, so
I would say.
Patrick, would you also say maybe a first-time founder has to prove him or herself differently than a serial entrepreneur?
I absolutely agree to what Katharina said. It's an indication, it's an advantage, but it's only one factor, and not more. But it's certainly a benefit if you are successfully grown a company and returned money to investors before. I think that's a good sign. To your question, maybe one additional answer. I think from a skill set, leadership is really important. And I think you can found a company and get to early traction without being a leader, being an entrepreneur and managing a small team. But if you really want to scale a business and want to create a 100, 200, 300 people organization, maybe 1,000 people organization, you really need strong leadership skills. And that is something I believe you have, but you can also develop over time. So I think here are probably a lot early stage founders in the room. I would encourage you to always think about your leadership skills, be self-aware, reflect on what you need to learn, how you complement yourselves, and how you can develop your own leadership skills over time, because there will be the point in time where you need to be a strong leader in order to scale a business.
Patrick, could you also add, because you mentioned the founders that are obviously in the community and are interested, what are the different possibilities for financing after maybe the first stage of startup? What is possible? Yeah,
I mean, that could be a long answer. In short, I mean, if you build a business, and I've seen businesses that have been built profitably, so you don't have to raise, you have internal financing means. That's certainly ideal. Also to bootstrap the business for a longer period, because the more traction you can show, the higher the valuation will probably be, and the less dilution you will face in the long run. So bootstrapping is certainly something I personally like, and also like and I'm actually looking for founders who have bootstrapped their businesses to 10 million in revenues and now want to raise growth capital, accelerate growth. This is amazing for me as an investor to see. But certainly you can raise venture capital, which comes with a price tag, because investors usually want to see like 30 to 50% in IRR. And then you have all kinds of different financing means. Currently, you might receive public funding, public grants that can help. And that is a good development I see in Germany, especially that, also the politics get aware of this need to help startups grow. And then other means like debt, venture debt options can arise over time, but they are very different from stage to stage. I think early on, if you don't want to grow your business cash flow in a cash flow positive manner, probably business angels, friends, and family are the only source of financing. And the more advanced you are, the venture capital window may open. At the same time, we've got Katharina here, I think a seed fund, if I understand correctly also. So there are meanwhile also pre-seed and seed funds who invest really, really early stage, maybe only on the basis of an idea. So very, very difficult to answer. And you need to look into all options whenever you need financing. Like Jacob said, in terms of exit, there are various ways. Same applies to financing.
Thank you. So maybe to round up the topic, we can talk a bit about the ecosystem for founders. What options are there? Where is your field? Where are your peers? Jakob, maybe you can start, as you have lots of experience as a founder now.
So first of all, when I started, again, I was new to the city. I was new in this industry. The beginning, I really did a lot of meetups and tried to join as many get-togethers to really link with other founders in best case similar stages, and then sometimes specifically with companies or founders in different stages. Because, you know, with the early founders, maybe when you're an early founder, they have the same problems. And then sometimes when you look for later stage companies, they're more the mentor types. They have lived through certain things. And I think as you involve, you know, being now 10 years in, I do a little bit angel investing myself, more not because I feel like I can make a difference with the money I have, more with the experience and the network. So we feel we have built, you know, a great infrastructure in terms of partners, of how we see the industry, certain trends, and the same way I profited from you know, mentors and people back then. I like to give that further. The same way I really feel like it's healthy for an ecosystem if companies and founders grow bigger at some point, whether they exit or do part exits, use some of their personal funds also to reinvest into young founders. I think that's a healthy ecosystem where other countries maybe are more advanced than we here in Germany. But I feel like that's definitely something I'm personally doing. I feel like is right, and where I profited a lot from in my early days when we started really getting to know people and having experts around me. If that answers the questions.
Thank you, Katja. Maybe you want to add something.
Yeah, I can. I mean, I totally agree with Jakob on how important it is to have the network. And as far as we have it, it just sped up so many things so much. This being said, what I find quite difficult is that the networks are not inclusive. So it's either like female founder networks, or we have the other networks, which are basically male founder networks, very few women in there. And this is, I don't want to complain here, but this is something that I observed throughout my entire funding time, that this is a big disadvantage. Just already, if you're looking at finding a technical co-founder, yeah. If you haven't studied computer science yourself as a girl, I mean, who has technical co-founders in their network? Yeah? So that's definitely, so I agree with Jakob that it's important. And I would just appeal to everyone who's big in the network, in the founder network, to make it more permeable for non-typical founders, because this is how you get inclusion and you get like the same starting points, a level playing field for everyone.
Yeah, that's a wonderful point. I can totally stress that out. Thank you. So maybe as we're getting to the end closely, you can give us in a short sentence your 1 to 3 key learnings for founders outside. What can they get? What insights can they get tonight from you? Patrick, would you start maybe?
3 insights that they can get from me.
Yes.
Okay. First, again, focus on market and get to product market fit fast, and that's really a focus topic in the early days. Don't forget to also think at the same time about product channel fit. If you can satisfy customers, but you don't find the right channel, a channel that works from an economic perspective, you might fail anyway. So it's really about early stage business, about generating product market fit and product channel fit. I think reflect again on your team. What are your strengths, your weaknesses? How can you complement your team? What is missing? And who do you need to attract in the nearer future and in the long run, because the team is so important. And then I think the third insight is, again, leadership. Don't underestimate how important it is, and work on your leadership skills.
Thank you. Katharina, would you go on?
I think I can just echo what Patrick said, but put into different words. Hire well, so definitely hire people with complementary skill set, but also hire in the sense that you want to really get experts in their field, and they need to also be really passionate about what you're building, because if you hire a CTO that doesn't really like the product, then the chances that they might leave after a while might be higher than someone who's actually really passionate about what you're doing. So hire well. Secondly, don't be stuck on an idea. And of course, with that, I don't mean that if you start off with a medtech company and become a kitchen hardware supplier, maybe this isn't too beneficial. But don't be stuck into one direction. If you sense that at one point your capabilities might shift, then it's worth it considering shifting what you've started off with as well. And the third one is really passionate product. Like, why are you founding, right? You want to solve a problem and be really passionate about it and know your product and market.
Thank you. Katja, maybe you are next.
Yes, so thank you for taking me third this time. So I had some minutes to think about it. So first of all, I would say always choose the investors with the clever questions. Yeah, so from what I said before, this has been proven very beneficial. The second thing that I experienced now even more than before in my life, always reflect on the motivation of someone who gives you feedback or advice. The person might mean it well, but in the end, it's not really well, because he or she is just ex post rationalizing her own decision, trying to keep other people out, whatever. Yeah. So this is something that I really try to do. And then that's a piece of advice that I got from a very clever investment manager, one of my investors. At a point where I thought I couldn't take it anymore, he said, take your kids and go to the forest. And I said, that's a good idea, but I leave the kids at home. Because he had no idea what it means to go with kids to the forest. Go to the forest. I went to Spreewald for one weekend, and afterwards everything looked totally different.
Thank you. So Jakob, it's you at the end. What are your insights?
all these things, obviously, I would echo. One thing I would press on, also we've heard before, how important leadership is. And keep in mind, different stages of companies, you need different skill sets. At the beginning, it's more the all-rounder needed. It's about, fast and learn. You have to adapt, you have to maneuver a couple of times. You have a small team. Everyone is probably, has different hats to play. And then the bigger the company grows, the more important leadership becomes, or at least a different kind of leadership. I think at the beginning, it's a more emotional leadership that, you get people on board with a crazy big vision. And then the bigger the company gets, and I, live through all of the different phases, people need career paths, need maybe different compensation packages, different things, how you manage and lead a company. And personally, I probably could have done this step a little bit earlier. So I scaled or managed the company as a CEO to roughly 100 people. And I think probably, and again, every company might be a little bit different, the stage of 50, 60 people, I felt like where I started to not, let's call it, enjoy my job, or felt like there are other people who could do a better job in terms of managing. Because my personal passion, and you have to only look in the mirror at what kind of person you are. I like to, create, be more maybe the creative person. So my home would be more the go-to market, the marketing, the business development. And at some point, whether it's 50 people or 60 or 7 or 100, but you just pick the number for yourself, it's really around managing the company. It's really like you need that skill set, and either you have it in yourself or find it. And then there's different ways how you can set up the company, whether it's a new COO, the way I did it, and I then step to the side as a CSO, so I take care of strategy and business development, and we still run the company together. Or you hire maybe a COO early on, someone who's really great on structure and processes. But I saw that, if you give the right leadership and mentorship to a company, how powerful that is. And again, you need both. You need a bold vision that people are excited, that someone goes on stage and says, what, our North Star is here, and people follow you. But you also need structure and processes that people at the end, especially the later the company or the bigger the company grows, feel like, you know what, this is where when I put my energy in, I'm paid fairly, I have a career path, I can achieve something, the company listens to me. So these things also become super important. And again, whether it's 30 people or 80 people, I don't know, but it's important to really question yourself. Are you that person? And then do hire experts to do that, what you maybe can't do early on. That will be the only way, I believe, how you can be successful.
Thank you so much, Jakob. Thank you so much, everyone. We are closing this panel now. It was wonderful insights from you for the community, for all founders to be or founders at the moment. And I'm looking forward to all the amazing startup pitches that are coming now. Thank you, Katharina, Katja, Patrick, and Jakob for this time. And I hand over to Jesse now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Can you stay here for one more question?
Yes,
please?
of
So
course.
thank you, Patrick. Thank you, Katharina. Thank you, Katja. Thank you, Jakob. You host a female founder show. There's an audience with about 100 people out there. Maybe you can give a call to action to them and tip from your perspective to the audience.
Definitely. Thank you so much for the time. Yeah, as I was hosting, because last week we shot the finale, and I'm very happy that we're done with the production process now, but now we're in post-production and are airing many more episodes. And I think the most precise learning that I got was it is very important to get your gang. It is important to get the people around yourself, your peer group, the ones that you can talk honestly about everything and find the connection to someone that you just go on, because it's all about walking. And I think when you're doing your thing, you will get to your aims. So
cool.
Get your goal. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. It was very, very insightful. And now we attained almost the final of the day, and we want to show our gang to the crowd, to you, to the audience. So demo day is always the highlight of every batch, and especially the startup pitches are the highlight for our startups of every demo day. It is a reward for all the hard work they put in. And for the last 6 months, our startups worked together with entrepreneur in residence, with coaches, with Reaktor team, and with our mentors to build a successful company. And at the end, our goal is to give our startups access to the first business partners as well to the first investors. And how do we do this in the startup world? Yeah, we pitch. Frankly said, we would love to welcome you here all at this space in person and live, but unfortunately we cannot do this. The circumstances due to Corona cases, we decided to just broadcast this event. And we also decided to go a step further and even record the pitches of our startups. So what you will see now are recorded pitches of the startups. They did it a week before, and our reason for this is that we want to give everybody the same and equal chance to present here, even if they would be in quarantine or somewhere else. So the stage is yours, startups. Have fun.
Hello, everybody. I'm Raik. I'm a VC with IBB Ventures, and I'm a passionate motorcycle rider, which is many times an adventure and very emotional. That's why I see a lot of value in true motion data for adventure sports. And I fell in love with true metrics from day one. And I also like the passionate founder story very much. And I'm very sure that they will build a unique and performant product that hits the target audience right into the heart. So it was a pleasure to support, and all the best. Good luck. Bye-bye.
I have this friend, and we started snowboarding together. So when we're on the slopes, there's a bit of competition going on. But somehow, she's always first down at the lift. So we used one of these GPS tracking apps you might know from running, and it let us compare our total distances and our average speeds, but it didn't answer any of my questions. Does she go fast in a straight line? Does she lose less speed through the turns? Does she pick a better route down the mountain? Or does she just crash less than I do? And not understanding my snowboarding made it hard for me to improve. And failing to progress, I almost quit altogether. Instead, we founded TrueMetrics. But is this just me being particular about my snowboarding? Not at all. We talked to more than 100 people in different adventure sports and clearly identified 4 major needs. Athletes want to be able to relive their experiences, they want to measure and understand their performance, they want to improve, and they want to share their adventures with others. So why are existing solutions failing to satisfy these needs? There are several reasons. Simple GPS is very inaccurate, especially in 3D, and it tracks at low frequency. This way, your fast downhill curve just becomes a flat line when tracked with GPS. It also misses information about orientation and acceleration. Existing solutions are therefore not capable of capturing the complex dynamic 3D motions of a skier. And this is where TrueMetrics comes in. So let me explain to you how this works. And since this is a demo day, we will show you what this actually looks like in a few short video clips. In the first step, we record the data of a number of sensors of your smartphone. Acceleration, rotation, pressure, to name a few. This here is our algorithm engineer and the best skier in the team, Shoma, having fun and recording data with his phone. In the second step, the data gets processed by our backend. And the algorithms we apply here are normally used to navigate satellites or identify motion patterns in autonomous driving. They combine the inputs from different sensors to accurately calculate position, orientation, speed, and acceleration of the skier. And finally, we can show the results in our app where the user can visualize, analyze, replay, and share their adventure on the mountain. This is the 3D representation of Shoma's run from before. Take a look. You can identify every single turn. So I think at this point, we've convinced everybody who's into skiing or snowboarding that this is pretty cool. But how large is this market? The biggest disciplines in adventure sports are skiing, surfing, snowboarding, and mountain biking, with more than 150 million active athletes combined. And we've picked snow sports as our first market because they make up a large share, they're centered in the Alps, and we can enter the market with an app-only solution because modern smartphones have all the sensors we need. And by the way, your average skier spends about 5 to 10 times as much on their sport compared to runners or cyclists. Our initial revenue will come from an app subscription model similar to other fitness apps, and our first paying users will be professionals, coaches, and associations because this user group has the strongest need. We expect significant additional revenue from partnerships with brands and resorts, and we're already in contact with major players here. These deals, however, require a minimum user base size and will therefore come in a second step. In the future, we will also offer sensor hardware to be able to move into different sports and to offer more functionalities, and this will be an added stream of revenue. To be able to succeed, however, it takes the right team. So let me introduce you who's behind TrueMetrics. We are a team of adventure sports enthusiasts with extensive knowledge in our technologies and our market. Shoma, our algorithm engineer, is a certified skiing instructor and has done his degree about motion track and alpine skiing. Jan, our system architect, has a doctorate in control theory and has run machine learning development projects for major technology companies. Yegor, who's in charge of marketing, has led product and growth teams on B2C products that are used by millions daily. And I bring my experience as a serial entrepreneur and domain expertise in our core technologies. Let me show you what we've achieved so far and what's coming up next. After proving technical feasibility and setting up our founding team, we were accepted by Reaktor Berlin, and this is why I have the opportunity to present to you today. So let me just take the chance to thank the team for the great support throughout the program. We have built an MVP and will start real-life testing in mid-December with more than 100 people already signed up and waiting. And we were able to convince a group of business angels to back us throughout this winter with more than 120,000 euros. The next big step on our radar is the coming winter season, which we will use to test our value propositions, to gather data, and to gain traction. We aim to raise a seed round of at least 500,000 euros in April 22, and we will use the money to move from prototype to production app, which we will launch in September 22. Our target is to have 50,000 plus installs at the end of the winter season 22. If you're excited about our market, our technology, or our product, we would be happy to talk to you.
Hi, my name is Marie. Together with my husband Harold, we've been part of the team of mentors that have accompanied Q-Equal during their time at Reaktor Berlin. I will leave it to the team to tell you about their exciting solution. Instead, I want to tell you about what really impressed us during our time with Larissa, Hank, and Nanette. They are driven by purpose. They want to solve a real problem and have found a meaningful business solution for it. We find that inspiring. In fact, as business angels ourselves, we are putting our hands up to be part of the discussions of Q='s first financing round. We hope you'll be as excited about their project as we are. Thanks.
As a queer person growing up, I could never really be sure where my safe spaces are. And that means when I went to a hairdresser, I always had to ask myself, am I gonna be welcome in this space? Or is the person gonna make me feel ashamed of a part of who I am when I walk out? A lot of stuff has happened since I was a teenager, about 30 years later. A lot of stuff has changed. We have the third gender option now. We have other laws that are in place to protect people like me. But one thing hasn't changed. We still cannot go online and book services that are safe for us, where we know for sure that we're going to be welcome and feel good. And when I say we, then I'm talking about 5.8 million people, or 7% of the population. That is the entire population of Brandenburg and Berlin combined. These people are still not able to book the services that they want online. How can that be in 2021? So here's what we're going to do about it. We're building a curated beauty and wellness platform called Q= that is specifically for this target audience. And it works like any other platform, but what's special about it, or what's unique about it, is our mission. We really genuinely care about the quality of the service providers and the safety of our customers. It's our vision that 3 years from now, people are going to look back and wonder how they ever survived without Q. That anyone who's afraid to get a massage because they feel excluded can go there and book something and feel safe. And the other special ingredient of our project is our team. We have Nanette, who already successfully built 2 platforms and has a PhD in economics. We have Larissa, who has more than 10 years of experience in the corporate world and has shown a really good hand with financials and strategy. And then there's me, Hank. I grew up in the queer scene, and I know this community, and I've worked in this community for over 30 years. So let's look at the market. There's 3 billion euros in the beauty and wellness market in Germany alone. It's a market that has been growing for the past decades continuously, and it has also grown throughout the pandemic. The queer customers spend about 250 million euros a year on beauty and wellness. That's, again, the 7% that I mentioned earlier. So if we can get 20% of these customers to book their services through our page, we would have 50 million euros going through our page in bookings, and we would take 7% of that as our part. And that's only for the German market, because with the right investors, we can expand to other countries, we can bring in more services, and we can also sell products that are exactly right for our customer group. So let's look at the business model. The B2B people are going to pay a monthly membership based on the transactions that they're receiving. It's free for the B2C people, and there's added revenue from advertising and partnerships. We already built the MVP. It's online. You can look at it at quickquel.de. The responses have been very positive. And in terms of customer acquisition, we're, of course, heavily relying on social media, so influencers, targeted ads, video content. We're also going to sponsor events once that's possible again, and we want to build strong partnerships with queer institutions and also brands that are looking to stand out as queer-friendly. So milestones, we're going to launch officially in Berlin in January 2022. By Pride Month, so summer next year, we're expecting to launch 3 other cities, and then by 2023, we're going to break even. What we're asking for today is we're looking for business angels that really want to support our vision. We're asking for $150K. We want to spend that on expanding the team in tech, sales, and finance. And we also want to spend it on marketing to boost the traffic and sales. Thank you so much. We're really looking forward to you. Let's make society more inclusive together. Come and join QuickWill now.
We are John and Isabeau, and we are the founders of OnStruck. And tonight we are really honored to be presenting to you Phoebe with her startup, Curly Sister.
Even though I don't have curly hair, we understand people's pain not getting the treatments they need. So Curly Sister connects people with curly hair with stylists who can treat this particular hair type professionally.
We were stunned to see Phoebe's progress over the past half year at Reaktor, putting in all the hard work and great entrepreneurship. It's really rare to see someone putting that much work, that much dedication, handling all the details by herself. And then John and I were not surprised she already released her MVP and has first initial traction, so congrats to that.
We are very proud to have been part of the journey, and we would both love to continue work with Phoebe. Phoebe and curly hairs have great potential, so without further saying, let's listen to her pitch.
As you can tell, I have curly hair. But did you know that 65 to 75% of women worldwide have curly hair? Also, there's one crazy fact that I discovered, that there is one trained stylist for every 30,000 people with curly hair. When I tried to go natural, my traditional stylist, who straightened my hair, struggled to guide me. It took extensive research and traveling from Seattle, Washington to Los Angeles, California to find a stylist that could actually style my hair in its textured state and help me to reach my aha moment to wearing my hair natural all the time. This was a huge thing for me because I had to spend numerous hours every couple of weeks in the salon. The problem that people with curly hair face is that they don't know how to style their hair at home, and their traditional stylists don't know how to style their hair in the salon, and they are lost in a complexity of products and understanding about what to do and how to maintain textured hair. There are 1 billion consumers just like me around this world that are completely lost and don't know how to understand or to do their own hair in its natural state without changing what their hair looks like on a daily basis. Traditional stylists spend 8 hours, if any, on understanding textured hair in beauty school. They learn to straighten textured hair or curly hair, or they learn to only work with straight hair, which is a big problem because a huge amount of people are left out. We are shifting the focus to the true talent, the hairstylists. We have created a platform where stylists can learn. They have their businesses advertised, where we have created the largest directory of textured hairstylists in the world, and we can help to provide these businesses analytics so they can understand where they grow, how do they build their businesses out, and how to develop their services for a growing set of clientele. What people don't understand is that stylists are very similar to doctors, where they continue their education throughout their career. They take lessons for safety and also for understanding what are the growing trends in how to style hair. This is a proven model where stylists spend over $1,000 a year, or more, on maintaining and growing their business and how to continue to grow their clientele. We are also launching stylist consultation services, where we help stylists to understand what do they do next in this curly hair industry. How do they build out their clientele? What are clients looking for? Where is the market saturated? How do you understand how to grow your business for this new marketplace? Our goal is to help them, and we can help them to do this, and we understand what the business looks like. Here are our financial projections, where we show that we have built out a lean business. Our goal is to ensure that we are doing the right things, by starting with no code and working with the development firm instead of hiring developers spot on for Curly Sister, so we can continue to understand where we are going and what we are doing and is the right direction to spend the money for Curly Sister. For our product milestones, we have launched Curly Sister in August of 2021. We are now reaching out to stylists in November of 2021 for marketing and stylist outreach to understand more about what they are doing and build out the directory further. In January of 2022, we are launching Product Market Fit 4, and this is our second MVP, to reach out to stylists and launching the Masterclass platform and also business consultation services. In March of 2022, we are doing market validation, and we are going through and ensuring, did we actually do the right things? Are there changes that we can make in March of 2022? And what can we do to have optimization for the product? And in April of 2022, we are focused on growth and how do we continue to grow out Curly Sister and build out what the platform is going to be. Our traction thus far is that we have over 60 masterclasses produced. We are beta testing consultations with stylists and individuals alike, and we also have over 1,800 followers. And as I've mentioned before, we have built the largest directory of textured hair stylists in the world. There are over 2.6 million hairdressers in the Western market. There's a total addressable market of $3 billion. Also, women with textured hair spend 78% more on products and 60% more on services. Imagine if they knew how and where to spend it. My team is seasoned and passionate about the curly hair industry. We have 3 master stylists with over 55 years combined experience. We also have our producer who has helped to deliver a seamless and clear directive for Curly Sister. And we have our development company that we are working with to help deliver a lean experience for Curly Sister and what we are going to deliver in our platform. We are looking for $300,000 in seed funding to help expand Curly Sister by building more business analytics and further development for Curly Sister. We have bootstrapped over $100,000, and we welcome you to join our textured hair care revolution. Thank you.
This is new. This is smart. This will solve global fundamental problems of waste disposal and finding energy sources. This is a great, fantastic team with Nina and Fabian. Let's go for it. Let's turn shit to power.
Hi, I am Nina and this is Shit to Power, and we are energizing wastewater. Together we live on the blue planet. Nevertheless, we have a water scarcity. Actually, water levels have always stayed the same on this Earth. However, due to climate change, heavy rainfalls and droughts are increasing. And with this, the distribution of water changes. And this is why we must consider wastewater as a source of water too. As of now, only 20% of the global wastewater is being treated. And this is due to a lot of energy needed for the treatment process. And with this energy comes a lot of cost. Therefore, wastewater treatment is not economically viable. Let us say you are the manager of a wastewater treatment facility of a city of 30,000 inhabitants, and your job is to split up waste and water. Therefore, your wastewater treatment facility needs a lot of energy. Actually, for your facility and your inhabitants, that's €1,000 per day. In the process of the treatment, you're left with a byproduct. It's sewage sludge. It's actually considered as a waste product, and this is why you have to dispose it. At the amount you are creating, that's €270 a day too. That's a lot of money. But there's a good news in this. There's an untapped resource of energy in this. It's the sewage sludge, the sludge that you've just disposed for quite some money. It's a byproduct of wastewater treatment, and it contains up to 3 times more energy than the treatment requires. To make use of this renewable energy resource, we are building a plug-and-play container plant. This plant is fed with sewage sludge and has a thermal process. From this process, we are generating green hydrogen, energy, heat, and we're also capturing carbon emissions. By integrating our container plant into your treatment plant, you are generating a circular energy flow. With this, you are reducing the amount of energy and disposal cost significantly. Let's look at the market figures. The total sewage sludge disposal market in Europe is 5.1 billion euros annually. This is just the sludge. It can be enhanced with any kind of biomass. The ship-to-power niche market and our serviceable, obtainable market is 10% of the overall German market, being 23 million euros a year. This is from wastewater treatment plants with up to 30,000 inhabitants, so treatment plants like yours. We talked to managers of wastewater treatment plants and mayors, and it turns out they are open for the innovation. However, they want no risks and no cost attached to it. This is why we decided to own the container plant instead of selling them. By this, we are going to disrupt the business-to-government approach and will smooth public procurement processes as well. With our container, we are looking at a two-sided business model. On the one hand side, we are getting paid for the sludge disposal, and on the other hand side, we are selling hydrogen and energy back to wastewater treatment plant and close by industrial sites. One container has a return on investment of 4 years. The profit is 250,000 euros annually, and to fill up our niche in Germany, we need 84 containers, and together they can make a profit of 21 million euros a year. Traditionally, the sewage sludge has been used as fertilizer on field application. Bigger wastewater treatment plants, they use digesters, and they also have a lot of mono-incineration in place. Our plug-and-play container is reducing the sludge on site and producing hydrogen as well. Our next big steps is the proof of concept, followed by the MVP, and we're planning to have a plug-and-play container ready by spring 23. This is us, Fabian and myself, and together we're looking for a process engineer to ease the chemical processes along the container plant. We are searching for 500,000 euro for our first fully operating MVP. Are you ready to secure water by generating energy? Thank you very much.
Hi everyone, my name is Klaus Dürr and I am a pre-seed seed investor and mentor here at Reaktor in Berlin. Today I would like to introduce you to Cephas from Newcon. Newcon's mission is to democratize expert knowledge for anyone, anywhere on demand. In the last months, I had the great pleasure to support Cephas to further redefine Newcon's monetization strategy, and I'm really happy to be one of the first users and supporting their team. The stage is yours now. Cephas, go ahead. Thank you.
How does the product look from a user point of view? Simple. User can sign up for free with the email and LinkedIn account and discover previously inaccessible content on our platform. They can consume the content in the way that they want: video, audio, text. We created for every content creator and every speaker their own landing page that they own. Everything is labeled, structured, sorted, and therefore easily discoverable. Some content is behind a paywall, and some content is for free accessible. I started Newcon beginning of the year with an idea and a Notion page. Today we have more than 50 different content creators on our platform, and some are already paying. We have startups, NGOs, corporates, but also conferences and YouTube creators. And they all have one thing in common. They want to have a beautiful home for the existing video content. And the market is huge. Alone last year, we have 2.2 million conferences happening. And we have 50 million YouTube creators who not make enough money on their platform. So how are we making money? Let me give you a quick example of one of our early clients who just had an event with 300 past attendees. Now he wants to make the content for them accessible afterwards by using our membership wall, where he's paying €2.50 for each user account created, providing a monthly subscription to utilize our tools such as user insights and payroll integration, where we take a 20% revenue cut. And now imagine the same, not with the conference of 300 past attendees, but with 10,000 past attendees. Huge scalable business model. But why is this relevant today? COVID was an accelerator. Today, every conference, webinar, workshop is digital, is hybrid, and therefore recorded. But more importantly, we see 3 key drivers that will change how we will value video content in the future. First, video consumption is increasing. Secondly, video creation is increasing. Digital platforms such as TikTok, YouTube, Zoom, Hopin are continuing to reduce the barriers of creating video content, especially for businesses. But on the other side, ad-based business models are dying. Transactional business models are next. Substack, for example, a great company in the US, is enabling news writers to monetize the newsletters directly. Apple, Spotify, doing this for podcasters just recently in the US to monetize their content directly. And we do the same for experts in video. Where are we today? So we started as a single play mode, providing value add from day one to our suppliers, independently from demand, to see are suppliers giving us their content for free? And yes, they do. Next, we tested, are suppliers bringing us all demand on our platform? And yes, they do. We see a 10% conversion rate from past attendee to new registered users. And lastly, we recently tested with selected partners such as Tor, Female Founders, and Start Summit. Are we getting users from somewhere else? And yes, we do. Today we have 500 registered users on our platform that watch at least one video. But who are we? We have Tim, responsible for engineering, former founder, and has a 60 work experience as a software engineer for various startups. I'm Steven Nandberg, the CEO and founder of Newcon. I have a work experience in product management, innovation consultancy, and venture capital for various startups and scale-ups. So I know how to start a company from 0 to 100. And with amazing entrepreneurs supporting us on our journey. Today, we're raising a 200K angel round to further build the product, set up an amazing founding team, and get additional operational experience on board, with the first commitment already in place. So if you're ready for Newcon and want to learn from the best, join Newcon, check it out. It's Newcon.io. Thank you.
Hi guys, it's a great honor to present NFT to you. It was and still is a great pleasure to work with the guys. They are super ambitious and they have a deep understanding of the NFT space. I really cross fingers that everything will work out in their future, and I wish them the best of luck.
Hi everyone. We humans love collecting, and the history proves that. Already 100,000 years ago, ancient people were collecting pretty stones. Nowadays, stones were replaced with paintings, trading cards, or expensive cars. Collecting most of the time was about physical items. But recently, completely new trend has emerged where people started collecting digital items, like images, like tweets, or even GIFs. How can people collect something that can be replicated with a click of a mouse button, you may ask? The answer to that is non-fungible tokens, or so-called NFTs. All you need to know, these are digital tokens that cannot be replicated and can represent the ownership of a digital item. And it works like charm. Already this year, several NFTs made headlines because of their high selling prices, and there are several marketplaces where you can trade them. But what about video NFTs? And we know video is important because people on average consume 7 hours of video per week. Unfortunately, there's no dedicated marketplace for that. And that's the problem we solve here at NFT. we're building a marketplace where video creators like YouTubers and their fans can buy, sell, and trade video content as NFTs. Would you like to support your favorite creator by purchasing their NFTs? No problem. Or maybe you want to own that very special unreleased movie trailer. Also possible. And this is good for creators too. Creators get royalties on every resale of NFTs, and they can push their fan engagement to the next level by issuing the new NFT collections. What's special about us, we have direct connection with the creators. We make sure every NFT you buy from us is authentic. On top of that, we are building strong video community so you can easily trade. And the way our NFTs are built, they are stored in decentralized storage, which makes them really secure. So how do we sustain this amazing idea? It's fairly easy. We charge 10% commission on every transaction. And there's huge market for this. The primary NFT market sales in 2021 topped over $1 billion. And with bottom-up calculations, we estimate that we can reach 500,000 auction revenue by end of next year. And we will start our journey by focusing on YouTubers and TikTokers with the size of 100,000 and 1 million, because that gives us enough exposure, and these guys are not too big to work exclusively only with agencies. And that worked really well so far. Last week, we launched our very first auction with a YouTuber with 740,000 followers and sold it for $400. This topic has been picked up already in media several times, and we built a community of already 100 people. And this is only the beginning. We have a lineup of creators who want to run video auctions with us. Each time a creator joins our marketplace, they bring their fans as buyers. And the more buyers we get, the more attractive our marketplace becomes for other creators to join. On top of that, we use our own measures like direct sales, advertising, and community to secure even more buyers and sellers. And the NFT space is so hot right now. If you look at the other marketplaces focusing on the art right now, they collected already millions of dollars this year. So this is the right moment to jump on the video NFT train. So who is all behind this? Myself, Georgie, I'm a co-founder. My background is marketing and sales, and I worked with the creators in the past. And another co-founder, Muhammad, he has technical background, worked as developer and in the blockchain, and we already worked in the past for 3 years together. We have ambitious goals too. Beginning of next year, we want to launch Marketplace 2.0, where creators will be able to run several campaigns simultaneously and allocate secondary sales. We also will increase the team headcount to scale up the operations, and we would like to reach 1,000 auctions by end of the next year. So to make all these things happen, today we are looking for funding of $350,000, and we recently opened our angel round, so please feel free to get in touch if interested. And the departing question, if every 5 minutes, 400 hours of video is uploaded alone on YouTube, imagine what's the potential of video NFTs with all the video available around the globe. Thank you very much.
Hey everyone, I'm Matti from Avocargo, and I'm going to tell you a bit how cargo bikes are going to change the future. So when you look at it, there's a lot of different modes of transport. You have buses, you have trains, you have trams. You can go by e-scooter or by bike. But all of those modes, they really just help you to get one person from A to B. In the future, we want to replace cars in cities, and cars can do a lot more on that. Primarily, they can transport your children, your dogs, your groceries, all these sort of other things that currently other modes of transport don't. So this is where cargo bikes really come into the game. However, for most people, it doesn't really make sense to own a cargo bike. It costs quite a lot of money, it's not used that frequently, takes up space, and the risk of theft is also there. Also on the B2B side, we have the same sort of problem. Most entities just want to use cargo bikes rather than owning them. But the services for that at the moment are very cumbersome. There's no simple way to do this. This is where we come in. So we provide one fleet of electric cargo bikes that can be rented flexibly in sharing, and in subscription, both in B2C as well as B2B. So those different use cases all together allow us to have a very high utilization of our fleet throughout the year, throughout the day, and throughout the week. So on the B2C side of things, there's the flexible use, the sharing offer that we already have on the streets, where you have no fixed costs that you usually have with cargo bikes, but you have the full flexibility. You don't need to have a specific parking area available in your house, which is a big problem, especially in urban areas. And you also don't need to worry about theft. Soon we will come up with a subscription product where you have your own bike for you. There are some user groups for which this makes sense. So especially if you're a family with young children, you need this kind of bike every day and you don't want to rely on having to find one around you. However, this is only a temporary thing, and typically after a few years or so, you want to go back to a less frequent use where sharing actually is the better option. However, during that time, you completely rely on a cargo bike. You don't really have an alternative, as I mentioned before. So that's why we can combine subscription with sharing. In case you have an issue with your bike, you can just switch to another one of the sharing fleet. Avocargo is all about understanding the use cases behind cargo bikes. So we're not just looking to put some bikes out on the street and tell you to do whatever with them, but really understand what is behind there. One big thing that we see there is the topic of shopping. So there we already have existing partnerships with Bio Company, with Obi, and recently also der Holländer, the ultimate plan shop in Berlin. The principle with them is always the same. They cover a part of your rental fee when you go shopping there. We're also looking to expand these partnerships both on retail space as well as beyond that. On the B2B side of things, we already had a pilot with Gorillas in summer where we saw that the hardware requirements are very similar to sharing. So you typically have people that only work there for a couple of months, meaning that they need to be able to deal with their vehicle very quickly and without a lot of training, very similar to sharing. But also in terms of what you want to transport, how you want to transport it, how you use the vehicle, there's a lot of similarities. So on the B2B side of things, we offer a subscription, or we will offer a subscription, which goes in the same sort of principle as most of these providers already know from their regular bikes. However, since we can combine that with the sharing fleet, we can ensure that there's virtually no downtime, because if there is any issue, you can just switch your bike for another one. You don't need to wait for someone to come and fix it, have the vehicle stand around and take up a lot of space. And that even happens, that even works while you're on the go, while you're doing a delivery. The other big advantage that we can offer with this is that we can upgrade you instantaneously. If you need another 10 bikes, you go get another 10 bikes and you've got 10 more bikes in your fleet. Where other providers take weeks or even months to deliver those vehicles, we can do that within seconds. We also have the option to adjust your fleet size on a temporary scale. So if you have any demand peaks, then you can also get additional vehicles just for that time. Cities are another important stakeholder for us, not a customer, but a stakeholder. They are looking for alternatives to cars, and we can really offer transportation like a car, but without a car. We cover exactly those use cases that currently aren't covered. We, of course, don't want to have the same sort of experience that we have with scooters, where a lot of scooters are standing in the way, where the acceptance of scooters has declined a lot since they were introduced. So we have a bunch of aspects to that. One thing is that that our users have to attach the bikes to a fixed object, a lamp post or a bike stand with the chain that we attach to the vehicle. They also need to take a picture at the end of the rental. That combined with having a user group that is much more mature than, for example, with scooters, really makes sure that those vehicles don't stand in the way and that they're taken care of very well. Another topic of scooters is that they flood cities, because if you have a 5-minute scooter ride, you don't want to walk more than 2 minutes, meaning that every 50 meters you need to have a bike. We already have rentals on an average of almost 1.5 hours, meaning that people are able and willing to walk further, and we simply need fewer vehicles and don't need to flood cities. We also understand that mobility is a very local thing, which is why we work with local teams in each city that we want to expand to. We're talking about a multi-billion euro market simply because there are so many use cases and because we see that cities need to replace vehicles, or we need to replace cars in cities. At the same time, since 2016 in Germany, the market for buying cargo bikes has been increasing by 40% every year. we also know that the interest in sharing is actually double the interest of buying. We started with 10 bikes in June in Prenzlauer Berg with a very small business area. We saw that this worked so well that we increased the fleet by another 100 vehicles in September. We're now looking to expand into other cities next year, both in Germany as well as outside. And in the next couple of years, we believe that we can really help cities all over Europe to replace cars on a large scale. Some of the key insights we have at the moment, we have more than 3,500 registered users, and we didn't spend a single euro on performance marketing. It's simply the vehicles, people talking about them, as well as our retail partners that trigger all these people to try out Avocargo. In summer, we already had a positive contribution margin, and we have a lot of room for optimization still. Right now, we're only missing about 0.2 rentals per day per active bike in order to have a positive contribution from the vehicles. We have more than 150 euro in revenue per bike per month. Our ratings that we get on App Store and also on all other platforms are extremely positive, and we see that already 2/3 of our rentals come from returning users. Our team, you already know me, my background is in mobility. I used to work for ShareNow in product management and marketing. My co-founder Mark comes from a project management background at Deutsche Bahn, takes care of operations on our side. Loic is responsible for all tech parts, both hardware and software, has a background at Coop and Bosch. And Steffi recently joined us as CFO with a strong background in merger and acquisitions. Our current investors include some of the biggest names in mobility in Berlin that really help us scale this topic. We recently completed our pre-seed round. From January on, we're gonna prepare our seed round. So if you're interested, let me know. Looking forward to talking to you. Thank you very much.
Hey, I'm Tim, co-founder and business developer at Crocus Labs. We are a deep tech company offering highly efficient horticulture lighting. Since the end of the Reaktor program, we built the next, improved version of our prototypes, delivered lights to 2 lead customers, and are now in the process of closing our seed funding round. Thanks to the whole Reaktor team for preparing us so well for the world out there.
Hi, I'm Jakob from Avuno Technologies. We are an agtech startup with a mission to empower African smallholder farmers with satellite imagery and machine learning technologies in order to significantly increase their harvest yields. We joined the first batch of the Reaktor Berlin program, which helped us a lot in beginning stages and also opened many doors for us.
Hey, what's up? This is Claudio, founder of Mimotype Technologies. We were part of the first batch of Reaktor Berlin, and we achieved a lot during our 6 months in the program. So first of all, we created the first biomolecular OLED. We reached our proof of concept and then convinced a group of business angels to finance our pre-seed, and now we are fully operational and ready to go. Thanks.
Hey guys, we are Rodia. I'm Mike.
Hey, I'm Toby.
And we are 2 of the 3 co-founders. Marcus is currently touring Silicon Valley on some biz dev trip. And we've been a team of the first batch of Reaktor, and it was really great for us. Reaktor was an amazing program. They've been like the first guys to believe in us. And while everybody's saying like, guys, why are you doing this crazy shit? They really helped us with building up a great networks, connect us to great mentors. And yeah, now we are here in our new office in September in Potsdam, and they really helped us to raise a 7-digit round for seed funding and really kick this off. And maybe you still ask yourself what we are doing. So I think one video says more than 1,000 words. So go and watch this.
We're Isabel and John, and we are the founders of OnStruck. We are a PropTech company simplifying documentation, supervision and reporting.
At our time at the Reaktor, which was the very first batch, we were able to raise €250,000 and expand our team to 8 people.
Reaktor especially helped us by giving us great contacts with super interesting people, the opportunity to work with really, really cool mentors who really know what they are doing, and giving us tons of free coffee.
So, here at the Reaktor, there are lots of stuff going on there. Every Thursday there's a fireside chat. There are the pitch and demo days, and we really hope to see you there.
Okay, wow. I'm beyond proud of all of you, of the pitches, of the founders. And you see, we're not always only caring about the startups in the actual batch, we're also caring about the Reaktor family, like the startups from batch 1. And if you have any questions or want to get in contact with our startups, just write down a message in the chat session or approach them afterwards. They are looking forward to your messages. However, it is not only about startups at Reaktor Berlin. We mentioned it a lot of times before. It's also about the community and especially about our mentor network. And that's why we have to announce something special here, the Super Mentor Award. And I welcome Laure, our program manager and also in charge of the mentor program, who will announce the Super Mentor. Laure, you have worked in several incubators before. Why do you think a Reaktor is special, and who will win the prize?
Yeah, as you mentioned, Reaktor, we have wonderful teams, projects, talented entrepreneurs, and passionate people. But it's not only about the startup. So we can't do this alone. And we have a fabulous community of people that support us since the beginning. So since we started Reaktor last year, and that are really committed to our startup and to our program. And that's why maybe I take this opportunity today to warmly thank all of our mentors, coach, and partners that are really committed. So thank you for all of you, and maybe some words, additional words about our mentors. We are really grateful to have on board over 70 mentors that are serial entrepreneurs, very experienced entrepreneurs. We have advisors, lawyers, tax advisors, and partner from venture capitalist firms, manager from large companies, and I forget many other skills and expertise. But they really dedicate their time and their expertise on a volunteer basis. They guide our startup, they give them some feedback, some advice to make the right decision. They open doors, so they connect them also with appropriate people and make sure that they can accelerate their project and have successful growth. So I think for all of that, we really need to thank you for this support. And yeah, I have now the pleasure to announce our super mentor. We actually just ended the program a few days ago, and we asked our startup which mentor had particularly helped them over the last few months, and which one was the most supportive. So now I will give you the name of the super mentor of the batch 2, and the name is Raek Reitenbar. So Raek is the investment director at IBB Venture, Investitionsbank Berlin, which is a venture capitalist firm for young tech companies in Berlin that finance and support tech startups that have business, creative, innovative business ideas. And first of all, congratulations, Raek, and thank you very much for your support since a year. and I really hope you will continue to work with us hand in hand. I don't know if you are online, but if you want to share some impressions, some words, you feel free to unmute yourself. Is Raek there?
Yeah, okay.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Whoa. Yes.
Can you? Yeah, very good. Yeah, thank you for the award. I'm a little overwhelmed. And you mentioned that it is voluntarily. I thought it adds some coins on my Karma account at least. And obviously, I have an extra coin now with the award, and I can call me Super Mentor on LinkedIn, right? So thank you very much, and to all the mentees who gave me their vote, I would appreciate very much some feedback why you voted me. So thank you, and have fun. Bye.
Big round of applause. Also here from Coworking Space Unicorn from the startups. And sorry, Raik, this is an intransparent process. We cannot tell you. But you can put the Super Mentor Award on LinkedIn, that's for sure. Yeah, so last but not least, we want to give you a quick outlook on 2022 and say thank you after this quick outlook. And yeah, therefore I want to welcome Sascha Schubert and Joanna Schulze from the team to the stage, because there will be some changes next year. First of all, Joanna, who worked here since the beginnings as a finance manager. Without you, we weren't where we are. So thank you so much for working with us. And we can understand that you want to travel the world at some point of time. To be honest, I would like to do this as well. But yeah, however, thank you so much from the entire team, from all of the startups. And yeah, I see Tobias approaching us from the side, as well as Laura. So we have something for you. And besides that, we want to hire some new people. So Johanna is leaving us. Iris will join us. You will meet her in the future. And besides that, Sascha Schubert, who is well known for all of you in the startup ecosystem, he will join us as a new managing director. Sascha. Okay.
Actually, you now ruined my speech. Thank you very much. This demo day is very special because we received a renewal for our program from the Senate, and it's not only a renewal, it's also 60% more money, so we can invest in more startups, we can invite more startups to join our Reaktor, and we're changing the program a bit in two directions. One is that we have an ongoing onboarding process, so we are onboarding startups every month, and the second thing is that we have more people supporting them with our Entrepreneur in Residence program, with successful entrepreneurs supporting the next generation of successful entrepreneurs. And it's an old tradition, Jesse, that you leave us, because all managing directors are leaving after one batch. The last one, Katharina, went to a sea in Brandenburg and started the tiny house program. You are going to build your own ventures now, and you're going to Costa Rica. So someone has to do a job. It's me, unfortunately. I'm not going to Costa Rica, so I'm the new managing director. And we have someone else joining our team. She's not here with us today. It's Iris, who was a managing director from High Tech Seed Lab. So she's joining in January, so not working today. And what else? Can you tell us what you're doing?
Yes.
Can I invest?
You can invest, yeah. So like since 7 years, I worked in the startup ecosystem, but more on the supportive side. And I think now it's time to build stuff, not to just advise on stuff. So I will join a company builder we create on our own. And yeah, stay tuned, stay tuned.
Congrats.
Okay. Okay, looking forward to the new team. I will also be part of Reaktor family, hopefully still, so we are in negotiations. Yeah, and that's it. We are finally at the end. So we can, please, all of you guys who are tested and vaccinated, so 2G plus today, a lot of cheese here, please join the stage. Startups, come on.
And actually, there's one important thing to say as well. I forgot this. Laura is with us next year and with the next batches as well. So we are still a team of 3, 2 experienced people and me.
Cool. Come on, everybody, come join us on stage. We want to say, Tobias, you as well. So we are vaccinated and tested. And yeah, we don't sing a Christmas song. We want to say thank you. Thank you to Senate for supporting us. Thank you to Mr. Hanan from EFG, Ms. Vijera. Thank you, Frau Dogan, Mr. Jeckel, Norbert Herrmann. Thank you, Unicorn Co-working Space. Thank you all mentors out there for helping us. And thank you, entrepreneurs, for being as courage as you are and creating and making the world a better place. So, yeah. Did I forget somebody?